We're back on sports, and you know what? It's been quite a salty weekend for a lot of teams. Like I say, pretty disrespectful weekend in sports in general. And you know, I should get started. You know what? Let's get started with the Flyers. Let's start with the Flyers. I'm not going to spend that much time on the Flyers due to the fact that, let's be honest here, the Flyers didn't show up all weekend to play. Not at all. You can't tell me that you played Boston, you were up 2-0 to Boston, and then all of a sudden, you let Boston just light you the hell up. I mean, seriously, light you the hell up. And then, on Sunday, yesterday, you played the Capitals, and they beat you, 5-0? See, this is what I was talking about before. When I told y'all, when everyone was all riding high on 10-game win streak, fam, we good. Don't worry about what I kept saying. I said, you look at these box scores, they give up a lot of goals. This is a lot of goals. And that offense is going to be there the entire time. And y'all kept telling me, don't even worry about it. Don't worry about it. We good. 10 wins in. They consistent. They good. Where we at now? As many goals as this team has been giving up, it's not even professional hockey. It's pond hockey. That's what it is. Hell, even the alumni game was better than the two Flyers games that was over the weekend. The alumni game was really good. It was really fun to watch. But, you've got to be kidding me that the Flyers, these current Flyers, are playing this bad. It's very disrespectful. It is. It's almost like they don't care. You can tell there's spurts here and there where they actually feel as though they can do something. Other than that, I don't know what's going on. Mason's been pulled, twice? No, this is not working. It's not. It's not. And you really have to look at the coach. Because this has been a thing all season. All season. Before the 10-game win streak, all season. Remember, at one point, they were up at one point, and then they kept getting goal after goal, and it was letting up goals in the third period. Matter of fact, they were the number one team in the NHL for giving up goals in the third period at one point. You know what? I'm done with the Flyers. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's absolute trash right now. It just is. They should know better to pick this up. And I don't know what the coach is thinking. So let me get it straight. You scratch Gostisbehere, you put in McDonald. It's time the coach takes some responsibility. It really is. But speaking of trash, I need to talk about football. This week, football. And I'm going to start with the San Diego Chargers. Or should I call them the LA Chargers at this point? Are you serious? Okay, the LA Chargers. I will never get used to saying that. The LA Chargers. I don't understand what you were thinking of moving to LA. I understand you wanted a new stadium and fans didn't want, we know all the fighting and politics behind it, okay? Going to LA, out of all places, LA, where people are telling you LA they don't deserve a football team. And I know people in LA say, you can't say something like that. Look, if you looked at any of the surveys, the paper surveys, the on-street surveys, they had a number of surveys in LA, all right, asking if they wanted a football team. And the surveys were down flat out, no, they don't want a football team, they don't care. Actually, fans were more happy to see teams from other markets play good football, as opposed to this year, the Rams getting out there and stinking it up, because they get priority, because they're in LA. So you have to understand that people aren't very happy in LA with football. Now let's go back in history's past, shall we, when it comes to LA. And these are facts I'm telling you, alright? Well, I just told you, facts. Those surveys, facts, okay? Want to get ready to tell you? Facts, okay? As you know, San Diego Chargers used to be in LA. And he was in there for 1 year? So it's not that big of a deal. The Raiders went to LA as the LA Raiders. And what happened at that time? When they were winning, LA fans would come out there and they would support them. Yeah, support them. And then on the back end of things, when they were losing, they didn't get so much support. Moved back to Oakland, right? The Rams, when they went to LA and they were winning. Remember, back in the day. And they were winning. Fans were there to support them. Yeah. And then on the back end of things, what happened? When they started losing, no support, moved. Now, the Rams are back now, but still, needless to say, you have to understand if you don't see what's going on with that fan base. Now, granted, Chargers fans, it's only, a 3-hour drive or a 3-hour commute from San Diego to LA. However, I believe, with everyone else, what they've said, your team shouldn't be leaving. It should still be there in San Diego. I believe that. San Diego Chargers, not the LA Chargers. All right? And then then we saw the logo for it. And are you kidding me? The logo is horrible. And apparently they had to change the logo again. For what we're hearing, they're going to change the logo again because it's too bad. So, because it looked like a cross between the LA Dodgers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Even Tampa Bay Lightning's Twitter was like, just to let you know, we the LA Chargers, the LA Dodgers, we're just friends. We don't know, you know what I mean? So everyone's taking shots at the LA Chargers, all right? This team should not be moving, but it's the done deal now. So it's very disrespectful to the fan base. I know a lot of people want to blame the fan base. I know a lot of people want to blame the owners. There's a lot of blame to go around on this one. Personally, this team should not, in my opinion, this team should not be leaving San Diego at all. And I will never get used to saying the LA Chargers. It's just absolutely disgusting. It just is. Now, I'm going to move on to the NFL playoffs. First off, just to let you know, I'm not going to talk about the Patriots. There's no point. We saw what happened with the Patriots game, and there was no point. It destroyed them. There's no point even talking about the damn game, all right? All I know is that Tom Brady's going to be ready, all right? But we will move on first to last night's game. That's right. Chiefs versus Pittsburgh. Now, let's put it like this. The Steelers, they went out there and they did what they need to do. Ben Roethlisberger has shown, look, the guy can play football. Regardless, look, we know he's a rapist and all this other stuff. We know that. But if you just look at it, if you take those things aside and you just watch him play football, he can play some football. All right? We know this. Of course, there's some times where he's got some bailout stuff that makes no sense. We saw it last week when he was getting ready to get sacked. He threw the ball up anyway and it was intercepted. There was no receiver there whatsoever. Makes no sense. I don't understand it either. I don't. However, the game was a well-played game. No touchdowns. That's something that bothers me. Was it 6 field goals? Yeah, there's a problem there. And I put it like this too. In that harsh wind, because remember, people who didn't know, the game was pushed back, all right, to nighttime because there was supposed to be an ice storm or whatever. But regardless, in KC, it was cold, it was windy. To have to kick field goals in that harsh weather, that number one, you shouldn't be doing it, but you got to because you're not scoring touchdowns, so it's a problem, all right? The Patriots are sitting back and like, we can't wait to get to the Steelers. We can't wait, you know what I mean? We saw some questionable calls during the game. We saw some, and when I mean questionable, I mean the helmet to helmet, you got to think. Guy is stretching out to catch the ball. Defender's coming to bring the shoulder, but the way he's coming down, they hit each other, so it looks like a helmet to helmet. Guy's hurt. Jeremy Maclin wants to back his mans. They start fighting and carrying on. You have to understand that's an unfortunate situation for both sides, for offense and defense, for the D-back and the receiver. It's a very unfortunate situation. So it's kind of hard to even get on either of them. You know what I mean? But I understand you're going to back your teammate. Emotions are going to flare up. I get it. You know what I mean? However, we saw what happened to Chiefs. Try to come back, 2-point conversion had to be ripped off, and it's just weird because at the end of it all, the Chiefs still lose. And we see a mass amount of salt from the Chiefs. Do we not? And for those who know what I'm talking about, I want you to listen to the players. That's right, about the referees.
Be able to wear a zebra jersey ever again. You shouldn't even be able to work a fucking Foot Locker.
Okay, guys?
That's a lot of salt. Not the largest salt I've seen this week, but I'll put it like this. There's a lot of fines coming this way. Now, look, you already know how I feel about players saying things about referees. As us fans, we say things about referees. And I have to agree. The officiating this weekend overall was very poor. Very poor. Especially during the Dallas Packers game, which we'll talk about later. All right? But it was very poor. He's going to be fined for that, which I feel as though he shouldn't be fined for telling the truth. He shouldn't be. However, the play he's complaining about, that there was nothing there. The refs actually did a good job on that play. But overall, the referees did a really bad job this weekend. And he's saying pretty much everything that we've already said about referees. So for that player, Kelsey, to be fined, and he's going to be fined for saying something like that, it's a damn shame. Like I said, players should be able to criticize the referees. Hell, the players get criticized all the time by the media, do they not? It's very rare you see media, criticize refereeing. We've seen a lot this year, but we're just saying in years past. You know what I mean? Because apparently we've become to this point where, it's just part of the product. It's just creating drama. It's just doing this, and we should just let that go. When it has nothing to do with the actual sport. You know what I mean? They're just people just trying to justify, the refs either being inept or just being way too power hungry. We saw it not too long ago in the NBA, where Austin Rivers bumped into a referee when he was coming off of a layup. He didn't see him. He's coming off of a layup. Bumps to the referee. Ref ejects him from the game. Like, you got to be held accountable for that. Power hungry. You know what I mean? That's just, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I really don't. But let's move on, shall we? Let's talk about Atlanta versus Seattle. Now, look, the Atlanta Falcons are going to be the underdog for the rest of this season. Even if they make it to the Super Bowl. Not saying they're going to, I'm just saying if they do, they will still be the underdog. Because nobody believed in the Atlanta Falcons. Nobody. I don't even think even Atlanta fans believe in them. But the fact is, every time, as we know, when the Atlanta Falcons, they have a good season, That postseason comes and they just fall apart. And I think that's where, not believing it comes from. However, put it like this, they went in there, they played Seattle. And Seattle actually played really bad. Richard Sherman played really bad. He did. Lots of penalties, lots of holding, getting burned. He played bad. And just Seattle in general played bad. And Atlanta did what they need to do to win. Now, don't get me wrong. You got to give Atlanta credit. But no matter where, or I should say who Atlanta's going to play, as we know now they're going to play Green Bay. No matter if they had to play Green Bay or Dallas, they were going to be the underdog. And if they beat either Green Bay or Dallas and go to the Super Bowl, no matter if they played Pittsburgh or the Patriots, they would still be the underdog. So they're the underdog for the rest of the season in this playoffs. We don't know what's going to happen with Atlanta. All they can do is go out there pretty much with the us against the world mentality, because that's pretty much what it is, and just go out and perform and try to shock the world. That's all they can do. You know what I mean? If they lose, people expect it. They say, yeah, we thought that was going to happen. If they win, people going to get salty. What else can you do? So Atlanta, every game, going up against Atlanta, is the trap game of the playoffs. It is. It's the trap game. A lot of people aren't going to give Matt Ryan his credit. A lot of people, we know what Julio Jones can do, but I put it like this. If you get the Matt Ryan, you can't get the Julio, you won't have to worry about Julio Jones. It's that simple. So, it's one of those things. You know what I mean? Atlanta is going to be the underdog, is the dark horse pretty much of this playoffs. I would say watch out for Atlanta. I would say watch out for them. Because of that reason alone, you have to take them seriously every game at this point. You have to. Now, let's talk about the real salt. Let's talk about Dallas versus Green Bay. First off, Green Bay was hanging up points on Dallas early in the game. Early. And of course, slowly but surely, Dallas started making their way back. And I noticed a number of poor officiating in this game. I mean, severe holding. And we're not even talking on the offensive line for Dallas. No. I'm talking about in the secondary for Dallas. I'm talking about in the secondary for, for the Packers as well. Just holding. I mean, just grabbing massive amounts of jersey and pulling to the point where you can see shoulder pads and carrying on. That refs didn't call it. They just let it go. I don't understand how you let that go. I don't understand how refs can be very selective on when this happens. Now, the Cowboys in the first half are getting absolutely dismantled. Almost up until, I'm going to say, near the end of the second quarter. Then they showed a little bit of promise. You know what I mean? I'll put it like this, though. If the Packers, if they score again before the end of that end of that first half, instead of giving that ball up, that's it. That's it, because Aaron Rodgers threw that interception. That was it. They put up a lot of points on Dallas early, and I think that's another thing. I think a lot of Dallas fans didn't expect that. I think that, everyone is still relishing over, we beat Green Bay earlier in the season. What did I say last week? That's not the same Green Bay team. Not at all. They were on a 7-game win streak. They've got a lot of confidence. This is a completely different Green Bay team. Take them seriously. And when I said that last week, throughout that week, all I saw was tweets from Cowboys fans. Don't worry. We got this. We're going to the Super Bowl. We're looking past Green Bay. And you should know by now, you have to play who's in front of you. You can't look past anybody, especially in these playoffs, especially for a team like the Dallas Cowboys who haven't been, to a Super Bowl in a very long time. So, mind you, every time they get to a playoff or, that second round, because, that bye week, they end up losing. And here we go again. So, as far as I'm concerned, real Cowboys fans who saw the danger for what it was, I give you credit. I feel bad for you. I really do, because you root on your team. However, the rest of these people who just had this arrogance about themselves, or even your bandwagoners that came out of nowhere, I don't feel bad for them at all. I mean, look at that idiot who got that tattoo. Early in the season, talking about the Cowboys going to go to the Super Bowl. Now he's being laughed at all throughout Twitter since they lost. But that's not all. We need to talk about bandwagoning. We do, because Dallas, they made a game of it near the end. They came back, and they made it, I won't say a respectable game, because you shouldn't be down by that much to begin with. You know what I mean? And I've always said that. But they did hold their own near the end, and I'm sure there was a number of heart attack moments, because you didn't know. Could have seesawed at one point. You just didn't know. So I want to say that Dallas did show up, but it was way too late for them to show up when they did. That's what it was. So, as far as I'm concerned, that was a thing. Dallas Cowboys fans, I don't know whether you'd say this is it's bandwagoning, but I'm not sure exactly whose team he's actually rooting for. So, regardless, Packers or Cowboys fans, both of you need to get on this guy. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Go, Pack, go, huh? Okay, in this video, video, if you're looking at it closely, I find this really funny. So, you're wearing a Cowboys jersey, you take off the jersey, go Pack go, but if you noticed, next to the TV, there was a Phillies hat. I need answers. I need answers, all right? Bandwagoning? Trolling? I don't know. I'm sorry, but who's going the distance? I have to say this. If it's a troll, who's going the distance to go out to buy a Cowboys jersey, buy a Green Bay jersey, okay, and put them both on, and literally watch this game and see what happens, okay? Because I'm kind of thinking that this was, DVR'd or was rewinded. Because if this is in the heat of the moment, and you have both jerseys on, what do? Do you keep the Dallas jersey on if they win? Is that what you do? Because then you won't have a video. But then to put that Phillies hat there, it's just right there. Nah, there's so many things wrong with this video. There just is, all right? But there's more. Cowboys fans, we need to have this talk as well. Because there's something that we need to talk about. And it is about your bandwagoners. I know I talked about it just a little bit because I don't feel bad for bandwagoners. Okay? But, of course, as we know, every loyal bunch of their teams have bandwagoners. And we know we have people who make your team, your fan base look stupid. We've seen this time and time again. So, during this game, when Dak is playing pretty bad, all right, what happens? Skip Bayless, that's right, or Baseless, his intern, wants Romo back. He wants Romo. That's right. And then near the end of the game, he says, well, Dak came back to play and I'm proud of him, blah, blah, blah. No, you just wanted Romo in the first half. That's what you wanted. But here's the thing, Dallas fans, because it wasn't just Skip Bayless. You had other Dallas fans agreeing with him that Romo should be in. Are we supposed to forget that when Romo was sidelined and that Dak was the guy and he was hot, that Dallas fans, you absolutely tortured Romo? Do you remember that? Do you remember the fact that you were heckling him when he was walking into the back? So the guy who has tried his hardest to win you a Super Bowl, the guy who has been injured a number of times and has come back off injury early, pretty much risking his own health. We know this time and time again. We've talked about this before about Dallas, how they were shooting him up with junk just to get him back out there because they didn't have another quarterback who was reliant enough to take them into the playoffs. Romo did all this at the time, right? And that's how you treat him. It's almost as bad as how Sixers fans treat Joel Embiid. Almost. And we'll talk about that later too. Okay? But you got to be kidding me that that's how you treat... would you call him your starting quarterback now? Or are you going to ride with Dak? That's the question. Because I put it like this. With Dak, we saw what happened with Dak. And you should know that next year, it's going to be even more difficult for Dak. Why? Because the NFL constantly changes. They adapt. You know this. We saw with Colin Kaepernick. He was, oh my God, he was so great. Now where is he at? Exactly. The NFL adapts. It's going to be even tougher next year for Dak as far as I'm concerned. So, who's your starting quarterback? Do you go back to Romo or do you keep Dak? That's the question. But, like I said, there's no way you should be treating Romo like that. No way. If us Eagles fans treated Romo like that, you'd be jumping all over us. You'd call us classless. And if you know what, speaking of classless, let's talk about that right now. Should we talk about the mass amounts of salt after the game between these Cowboys fans, a bunch of them, against one Packers fan? Grown men fighting over the loss in a football game. That's what it is. Now, it does make Cowboys fans look bad, but to be fair, if you're watching this video, okay, Cowboys fans are also the ones who helped the guy get up and ask him if he's okay. So it goes to show you, once again, that there are idiots out there who will make your fan base look bad as opposed to those who know right and wrong and are fans of said team. Okay? That's being fair. And I feel as though those idiots, they should be kicked out of your fan base. They should be. We know this by now. We know how it goes. All right? Now, with that said, we should talk about more antics, more tantrums, and I want to move on to football overseas. That's right, EPL, I need to talk about Chelsea. That's right. We're not going to talk about the standings this week. No, we're not going to talk about the table and all that. There's no point because, like I said, it keeps fluctuating. You know what I mean? Especially those bottom three, bottom four. So, let's talk about Chelsea real quick. And, of course, they went out there and they beat Leicester City in great fashion. You know what I mean? It was great to watch. But that wasn't the news that, everyone wanted to talk about. No. They wanted to talk about what happened with Diego Costa. Now, as we know, in the past, I've talked about Diego Costa, and I've said before how he's a diva, how these antics has to go. But this season, we have seen really nothing from Diego Costa that says he's being more of a diva than he is a player. We've seen this, this season where we have seen pretty much no antics, and it's been nothing but hard work from Diego Costa. So, when we heard the news that Diego Costa and Conte had this fallout was it last week? Which was weird because they had just posted some news about how they're acting like family and he's a mentor, like a father figure, and they all get along and he understands Costa. Costa said, Conte understands me. And then you have this fallout to the point where Conte says, well, if you feel you don't want to be here anymore, you can either go to China or Japan. Now, granted, tempers are flared. They're arguing, all right? And he's saying things that he more likely doesn't really mean, meaning Conte, our manager. But leave it to Diego Costa to go to his agent and say, get me some prices of what's going on with China and Japan to see how much they're willing to pay for me. Are you serious? And of course, this is the hustle now. This is the squeeze. Because when China decides that, in Japan, they're throwing all this money at him, was it 80 million or something like that? Of course, the agent's going to say afterwards, well, if you want Costa to come back, you're going to have to pay more. When you look at those prices. Now, of course, you're probably thinking, if you love Chelsea or if you love football, you think to yourself, as a player, just stick with your team. You have a chance of winning it all this year. You think that if you're going to move, it would just be next year. You would just grit it out. You wouldn't say anything, and that would be it. Right? Right? That would be it. Because you have a chance of winning it all this year. Win it for the championship. No. This is the squeeze. So, as we know, no Diego Costa. All right? They went out there and they beat Leicester City, which you still have to take serious because they are the defending champions. They are. All right? Players played well, but you can definitely tell there was an absence with Diego Costa. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. The guys played great. But Diego Costa is an important piece to this team. And we haven't seen many antics from him as of late. You know what I mean? After they lost to Tottenham, you got to think. They went into the FA Cup. They won their match there. Looked good. Came back into EPL this week. Beat Leicester City. Everything looks good. They're putting it past him. I think it's time for Diego Costa to put this situation past him and get back on the team. Because seriously, if you're going to make a run at this, you're going to need Diego Costa. And I'll put it like this: if we don't have Diego Costa, then I'm really hoping that Chelsea has someone, some deals waiting in the wings that could at least match, Diego Costa's, his firepower. At least. But this is not good. And of course, after the win, of course the media and the tabloids and everything else, all they're doing is talking about, Diego Costa, the blow up with Conte, instead of talking about the actual game. So, that's a problem. That's why it's been addressed this week the way it is. It is. So, pretty sad about that. Also, some news. I was really hoping that Manchester United lost to Liverpool. We saw what happened there. There was rivalry was just heated between Moreno. Oh my God. The managers are just, don't you touch me. They're pushing each other. I like to see that. It shows a lot of passion. It does. But you got to be kidding me where guys can grab up the guys by around their neck and just throw them down the ground and no one's thrown out. You can't do that. You can't. And I'm not trying to hear, well, that's hardcore football. No. You and I both know there's a line you don't cross. We saw that earlier this year with Chelsea and Manchester City. We saw that at the end of the game, didn't we? There's a line that you don't cross. Anyways, we're done talking about football overseas. I think it's time we get to the Griffin Force Flop of the Week, which will push us into our basketball segment, which means the Griffin Force Flop of the Week goes to Sixers' own Ilyasova. I don't know why people keep cheering this guy on. I've shown you a packet not too long ago of the way this guy flops. Look at the way when the Sixers play the Knicks, look at the way Ilyasova decides to flop against Carmelo Anthony.
Knicks here in the first 24.
And this is the type of dude that people still cheer for? Are you serious? Let's be honest here. Is this about winning or is this about basketball? Because if you tell me this is about winning, then there's no point of me talking basketball with you. I've told you before time and time again. Hell, you've seen on video, you've seen me go out to the neighborhoods and talk to players, all right? Basketball. This is a basketball city. It is. Within your, listen, you'll say, well, it's a football town and all this. Yeah, when it comes to pro sports. But when it comes to just every day, 24/7, getting it in, it's a basketball town. It's a basketball city. If you don't believe me, like I said, whether it's hot out, whether it's cold out, whether it's raining or snowing, you're going to find somebody outside playing basketball. Matter of fact, no matter the time of day or night, those who don't know what they've started doing at the parks. What they did is they started gating up gating up the basketball courts, because at a certain time at night they want you to stop playing, because reports were that too many people were playing at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and it was disturbing the peace. We are a basketball city. That's how we roll. All right? Now, with that said, you have to understand that a lot of people don't understand basketball, and maybe it is for the winning, because when I pointed this out, people were just like, but their defense. Okay, so should we talk about the Sixers' defense? Now, before anyone say, well, you're just proving our point, how? They are giving up over 100 points a game. Do you understand? Number one, they give 100 points a game. 104.3 points a game. Not to mention, this is an NBA era where you can't play defense. Hand checking, what happens? You get called for it. Do you not? Okay, when you post up, try to put the forearm in the lower back, you get called for it. You can't even play defense in this league. And mind you, that this is a shooting league now. And as we all know, the Sixers can't defend the three. They haven't defended the three in like 7 years. So as far as I'm concerned, don't sit here and tell me that this is a positive. Because when he posted, they thought it was a positive. I'm thinking to myself, well, if you look over the years, and if you look at the state of the NBA and the youth and the way it's played, the game is played today, no. This isn't a positive. But they tried to push it as a positive, didn't they? Yeah, they did. It's hilarious, isn't it? But what do you expect when the Sixers themselves, I mean, let's be honest here, when this is your player of the game? That is fucking laughable. Absolutely laughable. Hell, even the people at CSN were laughing after the game because they knew it was a joke. They knew it could. They knew that it was an absolute look. I'll put it like this, all right? McConnell hit the shot at the end of the game because Melo decided he didn't want to play any defense. If you go back and watch that clip again, he goes with the old wreck move, turn spins, and Melo's just like, I'm just going to sit right here, fam, because I don't think you can make that shot. Why? Because he doesn't respect McConnell. That's why. If you haven't realized it, that's what this comes down to. All right? That's what it comes down to. If you notice, if you watch the Sixers games, when these guys are shooting, defense is sitting back 3, 4, 5 feet away from them. Because they don't respect their shot. Because they're not knocking them down. They don't respect it. That's what it is. So while people think the joke is on the Knicks for the buzzer beater or whatever, oh, we won, in the long run, the joke is on them. Just letting you know that. On the Sixers, I mean. Joke's on them. Because the NBA, nobody in the NBA respects your shot enough. At a last-second buzzer beater, I'm just going to take this play off. Granted, it makes Melo look bad on the surface, but in the long run, McConnell couldn't knock that down again. And we know that. That's the thing. Now, I know a lot of people saying, well, yeah, he did get the player of the game or whatever, and the stats aren't that bad. Look, if you got a player like Embiid, a dominant big man like Embiid, Noel, and you got all these other guys around you, because mind you, that's what they keep screaming, that this team is on its way. This team can do what they need to do to get into the playoffs, blah, 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 blah. Then that dude should have a lot more, any competent point guard would have a hell of a lot more numbers. You've got to be kidding me that you think that's okay. It's not. Once again, we are cheering on piss-poor play. And that's bad effort. When you look at the entire thing. This is the entire 4 quarters of a game here. Entire 4 quarters of a game. Okay. But, like I said, when fans wanted to get all excited and, hype over that, I took right to Twitter and I called everyone's bluff before even they decided to, because I said, look, this is the prediction. This is what's going to happen on how they're going to try to hype up the Sixers. Makes sense, right? Because if you're down by that much, you're not doing your damn job. If you was on the court and playing basketball and you were down by that much, you'd be pissed off, wouldn't you? You'd take that as a serious disrespect, would you not? So yes, you shouldn't be down by that much to begin with, because you're trying to protect your house. That's why. And yet, what happens a minute later? As you can see, extremely predictable. That's how predictable they are. Because if you've been looking at Twitter, if you're looking at these games, and you look at the way the media is trying to sell this, to facilitate this down to the fans, that's all you see these days, are a bunch of idiots who keep saying, oh, we're doing good. Oh, trust the process. Oh, Joel Embiid, we're going to vote for him, and all this other stuff. You have to understand that they've bought into the brainwashing. That's what it is. The media has facilitated this down to you fans, if you want to call it that. And you're wondering why this has been, how it's taken on a life of its own. You're wondering how this all started. Why is this all happening? Maybe you can ask the Sixers yourselves. I believe the word you're looking for in that header is bribe, because that's what it's come to now. The Sixers have to bribe the media in order to push some type of positivity, or to get the NBA vote out there for Joel Embiid. This is what you're doing. You are now bribing the media, which means this is unethical. That's what it is. So for every media guy I see from now on that says, vote Joel Embiid, trust the process or whatever, I don't care if you're a blogger, I don't care if you're a so-called journalist, I don't care what you call yourself, all right? If you are attached to the media and you are doing, you're on the take. You're on the take as far as I'm concerned. It's not just being a fan. I don't believe you, all right? I don't at all. Especially when the Sixers come out. This is openly known now. This is what they're doing. And yet, for some reason, no one has a problem with this. Are you serious? Serious? Like, come on. Let's be honest here. If you gave a damn about Joel Embiid, all right, you wouldn't be trying to send him to this All-Star game. What happened? Because it needs to be reminded to some of you guys and girls, all right? What happened on Saturday when the Sixers played the Washington Wizards? What's that? Joel Embiid didn't play? Why didn't he play? Anyone know the answer? Because the media told us that the Sixers weren't going to let him play because they need to still manage his minutes because he's still injured. And they're trying to prevent another injury. That's why. So he's being limited into the games they can play in the regular season, yet you idiots want to send him off to do something extracurricular where he can possibly get injured. Now, you have to understand that he didn't play all last season because of said injury. He's only been playing partial, these partial parts of the season because they're afraid, he may re-aggravate it. And you're probably watching the games and you're saying, well, he's jumping over the stands and he's falling, he's fine. Just because he's doing all that doesn't mean that people aren't holding their breath. They're making sure. Remember, earlier in the season, when the Sixers were going into overtime, and Joel Embiid got mad, he started punching, he was punching seats because they wouldn't let him come out for overtime because his minutes were being managed because they were afraid he was going to get hurt. Now, of course, players want to play, they got the passion to play, they want to get out there and play, but sometimes you gotta shut them down because re-aggravation of an injury. You have to understand that these players are investments. Now, of course, on the Sixers end of this is a good business model. They want him to go to the All-Star game, regardless of his health. Why? Because then we can say we have an All-Star on our team, which will possibly draw other people to the city, to the team, so that they can get better. That's what they're trying to do. But let's not forget, people, that the same people who are praising Sam Hinkie, because that was an actual report, Sam Hinkie votes for Joel Embiid for the All-Star game, is the very same Sam Hinkie that said to us last season that Joel Embiid, Nerlens Noel, Jahlil Okafor, the big three that we got so far, that they're expendable. That they were on the trade block, because mind you, they wanted a point guard. Remember that? Oh, did you forget that? Yeah. So, the Joel Embiid that you got, that all of a sudden everyone wants to praise, and he's going to vote for him, is the very same man who wanted to get rid of him, who said he was expendable. Not to mention, I saw a lot of fans last season who said, let's trade Embiid because we got Big Ja. Do we have to, and this is where you fall into, once again, the media hype, the bullshit. Because, it has to be reminded, when these guys were hurt, Nerlens was the poster boy.
Suspicious item has been detected.
Hear that? Sixers is trying to get me already. You have to understand, all right? Nerlens was the poster boy. Then after that, what happened? Jahlil Okafor was the poster boy. This season, Joel Embiid is the poster boy. Look, let's get it to where it is, all right, people? Y'all have to understand, at the end of the day, the Sixers are going to push whoever they need to in order for you to come and see the Sixers. they need revenue. This is why you had all this entertainment not too long ago, right? All this entertainment. And we kept saying, stop spending money on entertainment and go out and get players. But they need to entertain you because they need some reason for you to come to the games. Now they actually have one guy who is so good that you'll come to the games for. So now the entertainment, it may be, it may slack off a bit now. It's all been calculated. But the fact that you're sitting here and you're bribing the media, which of course, like I said, facilitates down to the fans, and then the fans are stupid enough to buy into it, now you have a problem here. Like I said, lack of ethics. It's just, it can't be trusted. None of it can be trusted. Like I said, Embiid plays hard. Nerlens should stay. I know I see a lot of people wanting Okafor going. Y'all have to understand that next season, which will be, mind you, a half a decade of the Sixers losing, okay, a half a decade, a lot of people want to go. You're going to have to draft a point guard who can shoot. And I understand y'all saying, Simmons. Stop. We've already talked about Simmons before. You already know how I feel about him, especially since he was called on the junk. I don't want to hear it. But Simmons is going to be given, they're trying to give him the number 1 spot when he should be playing the number 2 spot. All right? But Simmons isn't going to be an all-out shooter. No. He's going to drive to the basket. You need a point guard who can shoot, who can kick the ball out to and knock down some stuff. All right? You have to understand that. In order for this process to work, you have to keep your 10 poles, people. That means you have to keep Jahlil Okafor due to the fact that you're going to need a bench anyway. So if Embiid decides, okay, my minutes is up, I need a rest, you got to bring in Okafor afterwards, right? A lot of people are saying that, Nerlens Noel should get rid of him because he's going to ask for a big contract. Well, let's get into this shit, shall we? He deserves a bigger contract for the way he plays. You want to know why? Because when you see people like Evan Turner, who are getting $75 million contracts, is he better? Is he better than Nerlens? Is he? Because I would say he isn't. All right. Should we talk about Mozgov, who did nothing for the Cavaliers last year? Did you see how much he got paid this year? Did you see how much? Okay. Is he better than Nerlens? I don't think he is. So when you look at those type of contracts, and Nerlens comes along and says, hey, look, I'm going to need a bigger contract, of course he's going to ask for that, and of course he should get it. But y'all keep saying, trade him because he's going to ask for a bigger contract, and he ain't worth all that. But Evan Turner was, right? You have to understand, we talked about this again in the past about players. You don't even have to be an all-star to get all-star contracts or MVP contracts. You don't have to. Have you noticed that? All you have to do is be a competent player, and you can make millions. Have you not realized that? The sad part about this is the Sixers, they're going to need all the press they can get, which is why they are bribing people. Because they know the ship is sinking. This is hard. Like I said, when you look at it for what it is, we're almost a half a decade now into your process. Half a decade. And they only have 2 wins more than last year. So half a decade for 12 wins. Like I said I'll give them 20. I'll give them 20 this year to be generous. I'll give them 20. But you've got to be kidding me that this is okay. Speaking of things that the Sixers are going to also try to masquerade is the Pal League. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, because for those who did not see this interview during the Sixers game, of course the Sixers don't want to tell you everything about the Pal League. Anybody, like I said, this is a basketball city. I know about the Pal League, okay? But I want you to listen to Josh Harris and his half-ass interview that he talks about the Pal League and how it's in conjunction with the Sixers.
So, Josh, the Police Athletic League and the Sixers have maintained a close relationship for more than 30 years, highlighted by, of course, your $3.5 million development grant in August of 2015. But really, with this being the annual Pal Night, why is it so meaningful for you?
Well, it just gives us the opportunity to let the volunteers and the kids from PA have a great time and understand what the Sixers are about, which is excellence, and enjoy themselves. So recognize what they're doing.
Recognizing with only 300 PAL kids here tonight and also 150 PAL officers, we often talk about how the NBA is bigger than basketball, right? How would you best quantify the power of sport, especially in shaping youth?
Well, look, I think sports obviously grabs youth. It's emotional. People care. And so if it can get people in, if it can help lift communities and help people feel good about themselves and enjoy themselves and be safe and have a better future, that's what it's all about.
Tell me he didn't just say that. He didn't. Tell me he didn't just say, number one, Sixers, they define excellence. All right, we're not even going to go there because we know that's bullshit. All right. But you're going to sit here and you're going to tell me that you put together this, mind you, 3.5 million? 3.5 million in the PAL League. I want you to remember that number, okay? Because what I'm about to get into is going to make you, kind of squirm possibly, all right? So the Sixers have this annual PAL League, media versus Sixers team, whatever bullshit. So the media team is out there. We're talking CSN, CBS, or whatever. They handpick some guys who can't play basketball to play in this PAL League, all right? And it's at the stadium with the Sixers, all right, to represent PAL. Here's the disgusting part. For those who don't know what the PAL League is here, the Police Athletic League. It is here in every inner city neighborhood to keep kids off the street, or to help keep kids off the street, right? So you would think, okay, this is something good to help keep kids off the street. Kids should be able to just run in there and just play, right? Wrong. No. You have to pay to play. That's right. You have to pay the PAL League fees in order to be able to pay. And it's not just a one-time fee either. You have to pay in order to be safe. Yes, you have to pay to be safe. $3.5 million went to the PAL League. Remember that, in inner cities. So, everyone else who is in these poor neighborhoods who can't afford the Police Athletic League is asked out. Forget you. So they play outside on the courts. You know the very same courts I've been trying to get help renovated? Those? Yeah. Okay. So, Sixers, you have spent tons and tons of money on entertainment in your halftime shows. We're talking millions of dollars, right? Okay. You have spent a ton of money, millions and millions of dollars on your Sixers esports team, right? Okay. And you have spent a ton of money, millions upon millions of dollars, on your new developmental facility that's out in Camden. So, with all this money being spent in all these places that you don't fucking need, the Police Athletic League that's supposed to be in the inner cities, which this media team that's supposed to play, which you never see in the neighborhoods at all, unless there's a crime. Then they show up to report it, and then they leave. Never ask why. Just want to keep everyone here. All right? You're going to tell me that having them play against the Sixers in your stadium, when they're supposed to be representing the poor people, pretty much, that's what it is, the less fortunate, you thought this shit was going to fly? Did you really think this shit was going to fly? But there was a $3.5 million grant, and yet people still can't get in to be safe, because that's what this is about, right? It's about safety. So you think if you bring out 300 kids, all right, and 105 officers, all right, that's how the Police Athletic League works, because those officers they're actually in there, and they spend their time there, which is why, once again, you have to pay. And you're going to tell me, within this basketball city, when we need all this shit renovated, and you admit that basketball gets to the youth, we talked about this before, it helps the youth, it keeps them off the streets, instead of getting into the programs, as we know how the prison system has been running as of late. No, after school, extracurricular activities for the kids. And you want to sit here and act like you're on your fucking high horse, and act like you're doing something. You're literally having this game in a big fucking stadium, instead of, like I said before, bringing it down to the people that you're supposed to be representing. Like I said, the media team is trash. I'll call the media team, look, the basketball media team, you are ass. You are garbage. Each and every one of you that was profiled, you can't play basketball. If you came down the way, you would get manhandled and sent back home your ass. That's what would happen. Okay? You're not basketball players. You don't even like basketball. As far as I'm concerned, I think some of you are just doing it for a good cause. You thought it was a good cause instead of looking into everything on who's still being left out of this, which is fine. You don't know any better. But for those who think they can play basketball, anytime, any fucking place, I will take you the fuck on, and I'll show you exactly what basketball's all about. I'll take you down around neighborhoods so you can see how fucked up things are. And how, even with messed up rims and everything, they still play on because it's all they fucking got. But we're supposed to praise the Sixers. And they define excellence. Yeah. The Police Athletic League. Matter of fact, how about this? Police Athletic League. When's the last time you've held a tournament and get in contact with the actual neighborhoods? Other than keeping yourself polarized from the neighborhoods. Because you don't, I'll put it this, anyone who's ever been to the Police Athletic League in your area, they do not come outside and invite people to play with them. No. They stay by themselves and say, we got our own thing here, you stay over there. Until you're willing to pay, don't even come over here. We supposed to forget about that? Okay. Let's move on. As you can see, lots of problems within the Sixers organization, within the media, within basketball in general. Like I said, basketball city. We don't need the Sixers. We don't. Like I said, the Sixers, like I said, you think that's going to stop anyone's love for basketball because the Sixers have been tanking? No. Not at all. It's a basketball city. And people who scream, it's a football town, yeah, you're only looking at the Eagles. I told y'all before, this city is beyond professional sports. Matter of fact, you can go back and look at my interview with Kenny Smith on that as well. If you want to. When we helped, help renovate basketball, courts in Germantown, when Kenny Smith helped do that. And he said, hopefully he'll be back next year. Yeah, about that. Haven't been back since. Okay. Yeah. But, like I said, I want to talk more basketball. That's right, more basketball stuff. I told y'all last week that I was going to have a review for you. That's right, on this bag. The .3 backpack. That's right. Huge bag. It was really small, but then when you open up, it was really big. Very spacious. Fits on the back well. Just want to show you how this works. All right. So, .3 backpack. Open this up real quick. As you can see, the .3 backpack actually holds a basketball. That's right. Inside. Now, let me say this now. Because of this, I'll take the basketball out real quick. All right. So, I also have a number of things in here. Knee pads, speed wraps, shooting sleeves, all kinds of stuff in here. So imagine if I didn't have this stuff in here. Very deep bag. You could put at least 2 basketballs and a football in here, to be honest. All right? But that's not all. Let's look at the other stuff in here, okay? On the side. All types of air pumps, just in case, because you never know when your ball's going to go flat, or depending on the weather, if it's been sitting in the bag too long. As you know, air kind of comes out of it. You don't have to worry about that. On the other side, just some earphones, nothing here, all right? Because I usually practice at 3-hour shooting sessions, earphones in while I'm playing, you know what I mean? That's what I do. As you can see in here, there's nothing really here, just a mesh part of the bag if you want to. You saw one side of the zipper. Mind you, I showed the other side where the basketball pumps were, and you have another side. Still empty because I don't have anything to put in it. So side of the bag. Now, to get to the base part of this, as you can see, the bottom part is kind of mesh, all right? This, mesh. Why? Because this is designed to either put your shoes in, if you decide you want to put your shoes in, or your sweaty gym clothes. That's right. It's an actual part, a compartment. Where's it at here? All right. Where's the zipper piece? Must be on this side. Yeah, it's on the side. All right. It's an actual compartment, zipper piece, that opens up at the bottom. That's right. This bag, not to mention, also in here, I really wish that this was a little bit more sturdier. All right. Snaps across the chest. It's a little smaller than I expected. But other than that, the bag is very spacious. It's water resistant. You don't have to worry about, because that's what I got it for. You know what I mean? When you're walking around, you go to indoor courts, and then, of course, you're going home wherever you're walking. You don't have to worry about, your ball getting caught in the rain or your stuff getting caught in the rain. It's easy to pull on the back. It's not heavy. I put it like this. It's very sturdy, the bag itself. At one point when I had my stuff, and I took it Thursday because it was really nice out Thursday. It was about 64 degrees on Thursday, so I wanted to go play basketball. It didn't feel like anything was on my back. Even with all that stuff in it, I didn't feel like anything was on my back. It just felt like it was just a pillow. That's what it felt like. You know what I mean? Very spacious bag. I paid $50 for the bag, but it was definitely worth it because I think that's the only basketball bag I'm ever going to need. So as far as I'm concerned, I thoroughly approve of the .3 basketball bag. And if you get a chance to get your hands on it, you know what I mean? Whether you see it in a store or something, just so you can get a feel for it, put it on your back, see how you feel. By all means, please try it. It's a great bag. I personally would not go to any other basketball, any other, like when it's time to go play basketball, I wouldn't go to any court or any gym without that bag as far as I'm concerned. No more lugging around duffel bags and shit like that. Nope, that's the bag as far as I'm concerned. Great bag. You know what I mean? It's very spacious. Especially you put everything else, you just put it in your closet, and it kind of shrinks a little bit too, so you can just fit anywhere in your closet. Dude, it works well. As far as I'm concerned, great bag. All right? Like I said, I'll have some more bag reviews and some other, apparel reviews. I've done these type of reviews before when it came to speed wraps, knee pads, stuff. As you see, that stuff is still in there. Shooting sleeves, stuff like that. I've always talked about this type of stuff. So, as far as I'm concerned, great bag. And like I said, once again, it's a plus for the basketball community. I definitely, like I said, if anything else comes my way that I feel interests me, I will let you know how I feel about it when it comes to reviewing this type of stuff. But like I said, this is what basketball is about. It's not just about, we're just going to invite the Pal League, their annual Pal League. Well, what about everyone else? You know what I mean? Or look at the way they're doing everything with, the NBA vote and all this stuff. Like I said, it's hard for me to take people seriously now when it comes to this. Now that we know that you're trying to bribe media and media is just running with it, it's not a joke. It's not. I don't care if it's Shirley Temple, if you're throwing money at them, if it's alcoholic drinks, whatever. It is a clear bribe. That's what it is. Let's call it what it is. All right? And it's not okay. It's unacceptable as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, can't trust any media at this point at all. All right? Just can't. Not when they're pushing this NBA vote thing. So when I see all you idiots, all right, on Twitter, on Facebook, or whatever, and it's Joel Embiid, NBA vote, All-Star game, you can shut the fuck up with that. It just tells me you're a fucking drone. Like I said, if you're not worried about this man's health. Because if he got hurt, then it'll be, oh shit, what just happened? Oh my God, we just lost him. That's exactly how y'all gonna react if he gets hurt. Chill. Don't make no damn sense. But let's move on, shall we? I just brought up the media again, so I guess we should talk about the media. Let's talk about boxing. Fox News. How do you wish Joe Louis, all right, not Joe Louis, I'm sorry. How do you wish Joe Louis? Because let's be honest here, people. I'm just saying. It's Joe Louis. How do you wish Joe Frazier, all right, a happy birthday? But then you forgot that Joe Frazier's been dead since 2011. Joe Louis! Seriously, that's my fault. But seriously, no, let's be honest here. You didn't know that he was dead, Fox News? Are you serious? Philly media. Philly media. Every time, every damn time, Philly media. I don't get it. I just don't. You should be ashamed of yourselves, but you're not. You make mistakes, you don't own up to them, and you just keep rolling. You think, well, people will just forget it. We've seen this. Think about it. If you go back and you think not just television, all right, but you look at Philly. When I say Philly media, you gotta think it's all lumped together. Bloggers, journalists, radio show hosts, television, analysts or whatever. They're pretty bad at what they do here. They are. And they love to start shit. But the fact that you forgot about this and you won't own up to it, wow, that's just a whole different type of... I don't know. Anyways, let's move on to boxing. As we know, over the weekend, we saw some good fights. One particularly, DeGale versus Badou Jack, which was a really good fight. And as we know, it came down to a draw. Now, of course, Floyd Mayweather got out there since he's Badou Jack's promoter and was like, Badou Jack won the fight. No disrespect to Gale, but Badou Jack was the better man tonight. And I'm tired of these referees. They tried to screw me when I fought Canelo Alvarez. They tried to screw me when I fought De La Hoya. And now they're screwing Badou Jack. This is the third time they've tried to screw him in a fight. And he was like, well, now we're just going to move up in weight. And it's weird because, first off, Floyd, this isn't about you. But I understand your personal experience. You're going to add that in. You're the promoter. Now, the reason this is brought up because after the draw came out, because one decision was for DeGale, the other two was an absolute deadlock draw. So, majority decision draw. DeGale said right away, I felt Badou Jack won that fight. Personally, I felt within the 6th round on, he won that fight. I don't feel as though DeGale won the first 4 rounds. It could have been seesaw. The first 6 rounds. But 6 rounds on, man, Badou Jack really poured it on. He really did. Now, I'll put it this way, all right? Of course, there was the knockdown in the first round, which, DeGale knocked down Jack. And then in the 12th round, Jack knocked down Gale. You know what I mean? But I'll put it like this. DeGale came out right away and was like, we should have a rematch. We should. You know what I mean? We should have a rematch. Let's just do it again at 169. And Badu Jack didn't want anything to do with that. He was like, I want to move. First, he's like, I want to move up and weight. Clearly, that's what the plan was. You know what I mean? And then DeGale was like, why not fight at 169 again? And then that's when, Floyd Mayweather stepped in and said what he said. And then they asked Badu Jack again. Instead of asking Floyd, they asked Badu Jack. They was like, would you fight DeGale again? And he said, I'll fight anybody. And Floyd was like, no, we're moving up in weight. Now, I think Paulie Malignaggi talked about this very well, all right, when it happened. He said that, and it's true, when you're a guy who can't keep making that type of weight because you're really suffering when you're trying to cut weight, and it gets to a point where you're just having a really hard time cutting that, you've been doing it for years and years and years, but your body just naturally gets heavy, it's time to move up in weight. It's just time to do it. It's just what you got to do. And I agree. I absolutely agree. So if Badu Jack needs to move up in weight, by all means, go ahead. But what we saw over the weekend was an amazing fight. It was an amazing fight. And we would definitely, as fans of the sport, would want to see a number 2. You know what I mean? Like I said, I personally felt Badu Jack won that fight. But they call it a draw. It is what it is. And I said when it happened, before the judgment came down, I said, even if this fight goes to a draw, I'm not mad. I'm not mad. Because it was such an entertaining fight. The fans got what they wanted. And both fighters came to fight. You know what I mean? There was no half stepping in this. Even near, literally, the final seconds of the 12th round, DeGale is swinging for the fences, Badu Jack is swinging for the fences. These guys are going at it, and they're catching each other, too. They're not just swinging and flailing, no. They're hitting each other right across the face with hard-ass bombs. And it was like, you got what you were asking for. You know what I mean? This fight was one that was a rematch in the making. So I can understand if the judges, maybe it swayed the judges to make it, you know what I mean? And sometimes they tell you that if you're losing a round, those last 30 seconds, if you fight hard, it could sway judges. It's very possible that those judges were swayed because, like I said, in that 12th round, DeGale was knocked down. You know what I mean? So it's possible. But either or, it deserves a rematch. We'll see what happens in the future. If Badu Jack moves up, then he just moves up. There's nothing you can do about that. But both fighters kept their respective titles, and they showed exactly what boxing is about. They really did. That entire card actually was really well done. However, I have to say that during the weekend, there were some more fights that happened. And here's the sad part about fighting, okay? You have a guy beat when you can get him to fall off of every little flinch. And I'm going to show you a clip real quick to show you exactly what I mean. I want you to pay attention how this boxer, before he even punches him, all he does is stomp. He just makes a move and he stomps on the floor. And watch how the fighter reacts. You see that? The guy, all he did was stomp on the ground, and the guy actually backs up a little bit and sticks his arm out to check him because he thinks he's going to throw a punch. He's going to try and parry him. That's what he's going to do. You have to be kidding me that these type of things happen. When you see a fighter who's that fidgety, when it comes to just stomping on the ground and he reacts that way, that goes to show you that he's going to fall for damn near anything at this point. You can throw so many feints at him, and he'll just react to it because you're not really throwing anything, but it's almost like leading a horse to water. So you're just leading, and you're leading, and when he starts doing that, and he starts opening up because he thinks something's coming and there's nothing there, that's when you take your shot to open him up. Needless to say, this fight, the guy who was falling for all that stuff, he lost. He lost. I believe they actually stopped the fight. But he lost. And I put it like this. When you see these type of things, like I said, this is all mind games in the ring. This is what you call ring generalship. Regardless of what's happening, the flow of the fight, the battle, when you're doing things like this, be a little fidgety to see if he'll bite for something, for some bait. Dude, you've got half the battle won. This is what I said. There's a difference between people on the street who just think that they're tough guys because, they work out and they think that they've been in a couple fights, that it's a big deal. Or guys who are just clamoring to get into a fight. As opposed to guys who fight every damn day and know all the little tricks and trades when it comes to being in front of an opponent and knowing how to get in their head so that they can, you said you get in their head mentally so that physically you can break them apart. And that's what happens. It happens a lot in the ring, all right? It does. Go ahead and throw a lazy jab out there. Watch how somebody comes over the top. You get what I'm saying? You know your cues. You do when it comes to fighting. And if you haven't understood these things yet, I would really suggest guys who don't understand this to not say anything. Don't even try to remotely act like you're tough. I understand you have pride. I get that. But that's not the way to go about it. When you see guys do little things like this, because you've been in that situation. You know the experience. You do it yourself, so you know what's going on. You know what I mean? You gotta think, most fighters are so tense and they can't wait to just go out there and do it, as opposed to a relaxed fighter who knows how to do things. You know what I mean? When you go out there relaxed, you're a lot better. When you go out there and you're tense and you're hype and all this, you know what's going to happen? You're going to burn out your energy faster than you think. And you know what? You're going to end up being gassed and you're going to get in trouble. That's what's going to happen. Then it's not even about fighting anymore. It's about surviving. There's a difference. And it's really funny to watch at times because I wouldn't think that at that pro level that guys would still be falling for things like that. It's interesting. Very interesting. Like in amateur spots, definitely. Because, like I said, lack of experience. But by the time you hit pro, this shouldn't even be a thing. Unless, like I said, unless you're flinching, unless the guy's catching you, which, don't get me wrong, throughout that round, that guy was catching him. So, it probably, you know what I mean, got him a little weary. You know, he's a little hasty about things. You know, he's so tight and so tense that he doesn't want to get hit by another bomb again. So, he's going to try and meet him. And that's another thing. Meeting somebody at their point, which you're also going to get in trouble with because it means you're abandoning your game plan as opposed to, you know what I mean, as opposed to fighting that guy's fight. And that's not what you want to do. You know what I mean? Granted, you have to adjust on the fly when something's not working, but you never want to fight another guy's fight. You never want to do that. We saw that earlier. We saw that this weekend too. A number of guys who were taller when they were fighting shorter boxers were actually ducking down and trying to fight inside instead of fighting like the taller fighter and keep a distance and throw the way they need to. Stick to their game plan. They would abandon it very quickly and never adjusted. They actually lost that fight as well. Anyways, that's all I got for the week. We'll see what happens next week. I will talk to you later. Y'all be safe. And please, by all means, stop this Joel Embiid NBA talk, this All-Star talk. The man needs to be healthy. Let him heal, please. Anyways, I'll talk to you later and y'all be safe. I'm out.